Now, coming to Woodward Sports. Woodward and Main Street. The Woodward Sports Network Detroit Lions Show. Let's go! Catch Gabrielle Dee Phillips, Matt Broder, and Terry Foster for all the latest news on your Detroit Lions every week. Only on the Woodward Sports Network YouTube channel and woodwardsports.com.
Good morning and happy Lions Game Day. A Saturday Lions Game Day.
Game Day, baby.
I mean, we are ready here. The Lions are headed to play the Dallas Cowboys. The Dallas Cowboys, who are undefeated at home.
7-0.
Since last season, their first game of the season at home. They're 15-0 at home over the last 2 seasons, and we're going to get into it if the Lions are able to break that winning streak.
They got
Dallas is obviously coming off of a loss to Miami, 22-20, and the Lions are coming off of a win over the Vikings, which we recapped.
I hear the Cowboys are a little pissed off about that too.
I would not be surprised. How are you guys doing? It's almost time to bring in the new year. How are we feeling?
I'm feeling great. Oh, sorry, Terry.
No,
my fault.
Matt is feeling really great.
2024. I'm ready. But there's sometimes I don't welcome the new year because I know it's going to be a bad year. Like a few years ago when we were getting into COVID.
Oh, yeah.
I knew it was going to be bad. 2024 is going to be fun.
I do think I'm with you there. 2023 was an interesting year. 2024 is about to be a good one. And it's going to start. I guess it won't start with the Lions W. But this is a good start to give you a little boost of energy heading into New Year's Eve, heading into New Year's Day, Michigan, Alabama on Monday.
Well, you're wrong, Fungus Face.
How
2024 could start with a Lions victory. Could be the first playoff win.
That's true. That's true.
Yes, it could be. So lots of
And
positives
technically,
on the horizon.
technically that Minnesota game is next year.
That is true. That could lead to maybe the number 1 seed, depending on what happens out in San Francisco. We'll see though. Number 2 is what's on their mind.
Get it done?
Yeah, that would be cool.
That
would be
awesome.
Cool. Just got to go get that number 2 seed. That's all
you
they
know
have
what?
on their mind.
If one thing I've accomplished on this show, I've gotten you from no longer being wimpy Matt Broder.
Oh, thank you,
'Cause
Terry.
You just said 2 seed. Let's go for it.
Yeah.
Right to
But
it.
before he's afraid. Oh, I don't want anyone to get injured, so don't go for the 2 seed. Let's rest our players.
Said that.
I
Never
need
said
somebody
that.
to go
No,
back
you
and
said it.
watch
You
the
said it
tape.
exactly like that.
Never said.
I need someone to watch the tape because now it's just becoming. I was on Terry's side, and I'm like, you're really continuing to defend this. Maybe it is true.
I don't think so. I remember a conversation about how important a healthy offensive line is, and you gotta do whatever you can to get the best seed and have all 5 of those guys healthy. I don't remember ever saying resting guys.
All right, whatever, bro.
All right.
We'll see
Fungus
what the tactics are for
No,
the Lions.
and he said exactly like that. I don't want my guys to get injured. We got to rest them up.
Never said that.
Then why would I call you wimpy Matt Broder? Then?
I don't know. Narrative.
Was feeling in
some
the mood
narrative
that day, I guess.
The same reason there's some narrative about Jared Goff not being able to throw a football yet. He's at the top of the NFL in some serious major statistics,
Oh, you talking about his
including
little
11
noodle arm?
team. You can call it a noodle arm all you want. That you have said that. I've never said that the guy should rest.
See, I admit when I say something. You don't.
Yep.
You admit, and then you double down.
That's right. Bam.
Fair. Let me just go back to April when I predicted maybe Jared Goff finishes in the top 5 of the MVP. Yeah.
Checking your stats over there, making sure you got
Yeah,
that
it's
right.
written. It's published out there on the internet.
Okay.
Receipts.
Go check it out on woodwardsports.com under articles. You'll want to check that out in a fact check.
I bet when the voting actually takes place, he won't be in the top 5.
It's going to be close. He's got to do some things in these last 2
He might
games
be
if we're being
6.
serious. He might be 6. I just need 1 vote out of him. 1 top 5 vote. Let's go.
We're going to have to do a little temperature check around the room today.
It's hot in here already. It's heating up, Terry.
Because it's getting aggressive already to start the show, and we haven't even gotten into the opposing opinions that I know that Matt and Terry are going to have later in the show. One thing I do have to bring up is if the Lions win this game, it will be the first time that the Lions have not lost consecutive games in a season since 1972. Did you know that was even
Terry,
on the
what was
horizon?
it like back then?
I think
feel
the
like that was
quarterback
kinda
was Greg
pointed.
Landry. They were wearing the black high top shoes. and your speedy receivers are running 5.2 40s. And you're playing in the mud. It was boring football.
A lot of running, like I formation, just a lot of running.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They did do I. They had the full back and all this kind of stuff. 2 tight ends. It was boring. And Dick Butkus was he was assassinating the Lions because he was the linebacker for the Chicago Bears. He was just rugged. Yeah. Brutal.
It's amazing how the game's transformed. The Lions use a lot of 2 tight end sets. They use a lot of 2 running back sets. But Ben Johnson and just a lot of modern offensive coordinators have really
and something else happened back then that you'll never see today. The Lions lost a 5-0 game to Dallas Cowboys.
5-0 back in 72 or just in the 70s
in that era. Right.
5-0. Wow. So a field goal and a safety and a really good defense.
That's the way it works.
Look at that. Look at that.
Anything is possible if you just believe.
Actually, they scored a touchdown. The game was so bad, they took a point away.
Okay. That's the Terry math coming in there, right there. We're talking a little bit about coaches, and Mike McCarthy came out this week and said that he believes the Lions will be the toughest matchup that the Cowboys face this season. Okay, I have to go to you, Terry, because I need to know if this is just coach press talk or if you truly believe that Mike McCarthy truly believes this.
Okay, I have one word for that. Whatever. You know, it's always in the NFL, any sports, the toughest opponent is the one that you're about to face. The most important opponent is the one you're about to face. So I'm going to call bullshit on that. But he's probably believes that he probably believes this. The Lions might be the most versatile team that he's faced. Doesn't mean it's the toughest, but no, I would think that if you put him under a light and gave him some truth serum, he would put Philadelphia ahead of the Lions.
Maybe even Buffalo too.
Buffalo. What about San Francisco?
Yeah,
forgot about them.
It's definitely their toughest test at home, and especially at this part of the season, Lions are 11-4 and still fighting for playoff seeding. So it's not like this is a Week 17 rest game, or they can take this night off. This is a big night. We got Jimmy Johnson being inducted into their Ring of Honor. So who knows how much coach speak, but it is their probably most difficult opponent at home, where they play the best. And I feel
like a lot of pressure is going to be on the Cowboys tonight with so many alumni in the building. Such an honor to be inducted into their version of Pride of the Lions. Yeah. So, you know, we're gonna see how that pressure weighs down on the Cowboys, maybe a little bit, and also the pressure of how well Lions fans travel.
Lions fans.
It's a 90,000 seat stadium, so they're gonna get in.
Yeah.
And I know Dallas, they're nuts about the Cowboys. There's only one sport in Dallas / Arlington / Fort Worth, and that's the Cowboys.
Yeah.
But the stadium is so big, the Lion fans are going to be able to beg and borrow and steal their way to the stadium. So there'll be Lion fans there.
I think they're going to be sleuthy getting into the stadium. I think they'll, like, put on enemy colors to, like, get in, get to their seats, take it off. Have that Lions jersey underneath.
They won't take it off. They'll whip it off.
Yes.
It looks like Eduardo O'Neill in the chat. He's already there in Dallas for the game.
Oh,
I've seen a lot of pictures out on Twitter, or X, or whatever we call it, of people headed down to Dallas. They're in Dallas. I think it is going to be another Lions. I don't know if a Lions takeover, but pretty darn close.
You might not be able to tell as much on TV with the blue on blue, but, you know, the Honolulu blue does stand out over that navy that they got going on down there in Dallas.
True. And the Lions are wearing their all whites tonight. They're wearing the marshmallows. It's gonna be a primetime game. This is ESPN. They're treating this like a Monday Night Football game. They got that crew calling the game, which includes Troy Aikman, a former Dallas Cowboy great. Actually, the Lions just released last night at like 10 p.m. A Barry and Emmett Smith, like little 15-minute mini documentary on the game where they both ran for almost 200 yards back in 91, 92? I don't know. It was awesome. Jason Hansen had the game-winning field goal as time expires. It was really cool. That One Pride Productions, they do a really, really good job. So I'd recommend you guys checking it out.
Love that.
Yeah.
I have to look at that.
I'm going to check it out.
Yeah.
Definitely.
See that southpaw, see that Scott Mitchell slinging it to Herman Moore.
So I have to know, with all the people down in Dallas and the New Year's coming up, if you could spend New Year's Eve with one individual from the Lions organization, who would it be?
Wow.
You had to pick one.
I'm going to defer to Terry first on this one.
Well, there's two people. It would be Dan Campbell and Brad Holmes. I think Brad Holmes is a little bit crazy. So he's definitely going to make sure you have a good time. But I think since I've been getting into bourbon a little bit, Brad Holmes is a bourbon guy.
Okay.
Dan Campbell is probably more of a beer guy.
Yeah.
Jägermeister guy. So I'm going to pick Brad Holmes. With the way he slaps people on the backs, during draft night, and he pumps the fans up and everything, I'm going to hang out with Brad Holmes. Plus, he's a brother, which means there's going to be some Hennessy in the background somewhere.
Come on.
So I'm going that way.
Can I come, Terry? Can I just join in?
Sure.
All right.
You're in.
I'd fit in. I would want to go out with Brad Holmes.
For sure.
I think that's fun. I know my complexion might not speak to this, but I'm a fan of free.
Stop.
No, he's a fan of Murder Mook, a freestyle rapper. I'm a fan also. Harry Mack's my guy. I think we could talk music. Brad Holmes would be fun to go out with. But I'm going to pick Scotty Montgomery. I'm going to pick the running back coach. I think he's a very energetic, outgoing guy. I think he's very serious at the field. So I think when he would go out on New Year's, he might let loose a little bit. We'd have a really good night. I don't know how late. I think it would be a late night. Scotty Montgomery out. He would just let loose.
Well, it's New Year's Eve. It has to be a late night.
But like he's not going home at 12:01. Like New Year's night, he's staying out till 4.
Okay.
Yeah.
Where are you going to have breakfast?
What's that place you told me about downtown? I think I would go to the Whistle Stop in Ferndale. They got a nice Spanish coffee.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh. Go with your bad self.
One day.
I hung out with a Lions coach one time.
Really?
Yes, we were going out to dinner, and he said, "Do you want to have those? Do you want to have a couple beers beforehand?" I said, "Sure." It was John Tierlink.
Okay.
So I had 2 beers. He had 24 beers.
No way.
Was he a big dude?
Yeah, he's a big guy, big red nose, and he was just knocking it out. And I'm like hustling up with my 2 beers. I said, how does this dude doing 24?
Some people are built different. They put that down like water.
I guess so.
Yeah.
All right, I'm going to close it out, and I'm going with Madam Sheila Ford Hamp
That's a
to
good
close
one.
us out because
Okay.
I'm just curious as to how she spends her New Year's Eve. What is she doing? Is she with the family? Where are they at? What kind of cocktails is she shaking up? I'm curious. Also, got to pick her brain because, I mean, seeing her excitement after the NFC North Championship, she's got so many thoughts on where this team is heading. So I'd love to just pick her brain a little bit, too.
The only other thing is you might have to wear a smoking jacket because they're a little bit of aristocrats over there.
Okay. Well, I'll make sure to borrow one from you if that does happen.
I don't own one. You need to get a silk one with kind of a little Japanese pattern on it.
Okay.
You look sweet.
I'll
Yeah,
add
that
it
would
to
be
the
perfect.
list.
You and Sheila Hamp.
Yeah. Seems fitting, right?
You can meet
I
up
think
with
we
Terry
could
and
sit
Brad
at a table
Holmes.
together, yeah, and then we'll call you guys after we've had
Yeah,
a
so
couple
Brad
of
Holmes probably
cocktails.
smack her on the back a couple times.
Yes,
God.
just throwing back some Lafayette
Maybe
Coney
we
dogs.
should see you guys before they have the cocktails, so they don't lose control of what their strength is when they're.
Oh,
slapping
that
her
would be
on the back.
sweet. Me, you, Brad Holmes, Sheila Hamp at Lafayette Coney Island.
Yeah,
Oh, bye, Matt.
Bam.
that's okay. I'll chaperone. I'll drive. I'll designated drive.
Right.
Yeah.
What
I
a
bet
time.
she would do it.
I think so. She's
Most
a lady of
NFL
Detroit.
owners,
Of course
there's
she
no
would.
way you're going to get them there.
No.
You know who you can get at Lafayette Coney Island?
Huh?
Jerry Jones.
He would.
Yep.
And J-Mo
No doubt.
probably.
I wonder
yeah,
what his
J-Mo.
what his
The
combination
J-Mo would
there
probably
be.
put Fritos
Uh-huh.
A milkshake.
or a dessert on there.
Yep.
Fritos is too congruent with the hot dogs. I think it would have to be I don't know, dunk it in a Coke or something or Pepsi. I don't know. That sounds more. See, now we're all going. Ugh. That seems more in line with his meals.
Yeah, but New Year's Eve, you have to have something nasty.
Oh yeah, for sure. We're going to be back to talk a little bit more about this matchup that is ahead for tonight, 8:15 primetime. Lions heading down to take on the Dallas Cowboys. Stick with us here, and we will be right back.
Join Woodward Sports' own Jeff Iafrate along with special WSN guests for the most anticipated Lions season in decades. Filled with different surprises and expert analysis. You're not going to want to miss out. Go to our Woodward Sports YouTube channel on Sundays and tune in live from 9:30 to 11:30 a.m. Woodward Sports' own Tom Mazaway and Sam Stick Day will be hosting our Lions postgame show after every Lions game all season long. Tune into the Woodward Sports YouTube channel for his hot-off-the-press takes, game analysis, and Kool-Aid sipping celebrations. You won't want to miss it. Join Maz, Stick, and special guests each week immediately following every Lions game, exclusively on the WSN YouTube channel.
Stop searching for a vehicle and start finding one. Les Stanford Chevrolet Cadillac makes it easy. We harness the power of multiple dealerships and own the biggest selection of GM brands in the area to get you the car you need. With the Les Stanford Group, you'll have access to 4 different dealerships, providing you with more makes, more models, and more choices. We're connected to more than 1,000 vehicles, and with so many high-quality CPO vehicles available, you'll find new car quality at pre-owned prices. You can start and end your search at lesstanford.com today.
Welcome back to Woodward and Main Street, your Lions Insider Show here on Woodward Sports Network. I'm Gabrielle Dee Phillips, alongside me, Matt Broder and Terry Foster, to kick off your Lions Game Day. This show is brought to you by Les Stanford. So thanks so much, Les Stanford, for making this show possible. Our timing was spot on.
Yeah, we're getting good at it. Like, I'm reading your mind. Like, we're getting on that same page.
You saw where I was going.
You want to play your best football heading into the playoffs. We want to put our best show on heading into the playoffs, too.
Exactly. I like
Here,
that
I'm going to
energy.
read your mind.
Okay.
You know what we get to see tonight?
Huh.
We get to see America's team play tonight against the Dallas Cowboys.
Interesting,
So
Terry.
But for 1 year, I would say that the Lions are more America's team than Dallas. The networks wanted them. The storylines have been great. I think people outside of Detroit like this team. There's a lot to like about it. And first of all, this is a sad sack organization. We always talk about the poor Chicago Cub fans and all the agony they had to go through. Well, the Lion fans had to go through the same thing.
Yeah.
But you've got a very outgoing coach that can carry a press conference. That remember when Hard Knocks was here, you could have just had Dan Campbell for 45 minutes each night, and it would have been a ratings bonanza.
I think
That'd be
maybe their
must-see.
best rating.
Yeah, that'd be must-see TV.
Right. I think people root for him. Now, what we get to see tonight is, will Dan Campbell elevate himself as a more respected coach?
Okay.
If he can win this, it's going to be, okay, Dan Campbell is one of the, I don't know if I want to say elite coaches, but he's one of the top coaches in the NFL. He's not there yet, but if he can win tonight, that's what's going to happen. Now, there's 2 things that can happen tonight. The Lions win, you got to look at them as Super Bowl contenders.
Hell yeah, you do.
Legit. I don't think they're there yet. I think they're right on the periphery. They have a puncher's chance. But if they win tonight, you got to look at them and say, you can see some danger here.
I'm with you. Oh, you say there was a second point?
Yeah, the second point is just that Dan Campbell can elevate himself as one of the top coaches in the NFL.
Yeah.
No doubt.
Yeah. I think a win tonight, to me, it should solidify him as the coach of the year. I know Kevin Stefanski with the Browns has snuck in there and actually has better odds to win, but I think a win tonight could definitely do that. And like you said, catapult them into true Super Bowl contenders nationally. But I want to ask you, Terry, how does it feel, or do you feel the Lions are America's team the same year that the Cowboys are having a good season? I mean, they're 10-5.
They are,
and they're fighting for a 2 seed, but are probably going to be a 5 seed. Does that change anything, or just make it a little bit sweeter?
I think people are tired of the Cowboys. Every year, it's Cowboys year. Every year, oh boy, they're going to the Super Bowl. Every year, they're going to beat San Francisco. Every year. So you get fatigued, and they're having a good season, and yes, they could. But what are we waiting for? We're waiting for the other shoe to drop. We're waiting for the Cowboys to crap in their pants, which they've done against San Francisco. But I'm talking about in the playoffs, at home, somewhere. So it could be tonight.
I think so.
So the Lions could drop that anvil on top of their heads.
Yeah. The Lions have been pretty good at spoiling parties on the road, especially whether it's Lambeau at the end of last year or prime time to start off the season. There have been a couple games this year where they've gone into the opposing territory and spoiled them on a special night. Now we got Jimmy Johnson Ring of Honor celebration. So there's a lot of celebrities coming out. There's a lot going on. I think the Lions are ready for this. They have a fully healthy offensive line, which I know we're going to get into.
Yeah.
All right, kids, I want you to put on your thinking caps.
Okay.
For a minute.
Ready.
What games have the Lions had the toughest time with? Y'all answer that because I don't want you guys to stroke up. It's been people in their division.
Fair.
The Bears, Minnesota, Green Bay. Those have been their toughest games. We don't look at them as their toughest opponents. But that's been their toughest games, and I always believe these teams in this division hate each other. They know each other better than anybody else, and so these are the toughest games to win. That's why when I was trying to find the magic elixir of how can the Lions win in this league, I was always told, take care of your division. Be better than Green Bay. Be better than Chicago. Be better than Minnesota. The rest will fall into place. How do you stop Brett Favre? How do you stop
Aaron Rodgers,
Kirk Cousins, Aaron Rodgers, all these other guys? How do you stop the Bears' defense when they had a defense? That's what you need to overcome. If you can beat these three teams, New Orleans, San Francisco, Philadelphia, everything else will fall into place. Plus, I mean, right there, if you can beat them 5 out of 6, there's 5 wins right there. Then you just get, a smattering of wins elsewhere, and you're in the playoffs.
Yeah.
So
in those two NFC North, or their 2 losses in the NFC North, have come on the second game of the season too.
Yes.
So those coaches, those teams, have figured out something and made the adjustments that Detroit maybe failed to do in those second games. Now this is a fresh look against the Cowboys. This is one-on-one, sort of mano-a-mano. 2 heavyweights headed towards some really serious playoff aspirations.
And not to jump in, but that the Lions would still have an opportunity, looking ahead, to take on the Vikings again and finally break that win one, lose one streak that they have going within their division. So, but let's bring it back to Dallas and what we've got going on here today. You mentioned it, Matt. The Lions have a healthy offensive line, which is huge, because they are 6-0 when they have a healthy offensive line, which says something right there. 6-0. They're healthy. Taylor Decker was a little bit questionable earlier in the week with that groin injury, but he is full go. He's ready to go. So, is this the key to a Lions win today? Is this the number one thing that if they were missing this, that you would be the most concerned? And is this being fully in place solidifying your potential opinion for a Lions win?
Yes. Easily, without a doubt. As quick as I can answer, this offensive line is the engine to this team. When they're healthy, they have a chance against anybody. They've obviously been undefeated and can beat anybody. But this offensive line, I think PFF ranks it the number 1 offensive line in the league. They got 5 guys who are not only playing really well, but playing really well together. They've played together before. They're experienced, and that's something that's very crucial when you go against a team with a guy like Micah Parsons, with a pass rush that the Cowboys have. Having that experience of both tackles, having Taylor Decker back is huge.
Yeah.
Having Frank Ragnow healthy in the middle with Jonah Jackson and Graham Glasgow is huge, because Micah Parsons plays just about every position on that front 7. They move him around all the time, and then if he's coming from what would be his left side against Penei Sewell, I believe he's the best offensive lineman in the league. So having all 5 together for a versatile defender, a really talented edge rusher, a quick edge rusher in Micah Parsons is as important to this game as just about any. And the last thing I'll add before Terry goes, to beat these guys, sort of the blueprint is the run game. It's using that offensive line and really neutralizing that pass rush by having a good run game. So having those 5 guys together is absolutely crucial.
Now, I know you want to keep that offensive line healthy. I've got a solution. we can both work because I want them to play and you want them to be healthy. Here's what I would do. I would go out and buy Frank Ragnow some steel-toed boots and have him playing those.
Not a bad idea.
Right. So you're not going to mess
Protect
that toe
that
up. Right. Protect the toe. You know, that should be the next Big Lions t-shirt. Protect the toe.
Seriously.
Right.
Cam Sutton's battling a toe injury too. We aren't sure if he's going to play tonight. And that's, if there's any other player maybe more important in a game against Dallas, it's our number one cornerback with CeeDee Lamb on the other side. But
All right, then I stand corrected. Protect the toes.
yes.
How about that?
There you go. We'll put like an asterisk and in parentheses an extra S in there just in case. We do have to get into the other injuries, and I know you mentioned Cam Sutton and him being questionable, so that is a negative, but there's a lot of positives on the horizon for the Lions injuries. So I want to kind of get a temperature check of what the locker room felt like this week, Matt, and how they felt like on the practice field, knowing that they have James Houston and CeeDee Deuce potentially joining them next week, if not in the playoffs.
That's C.J. Gardner-Johnson.
You know what? You said CeeDee Deuce last week, so I
I
followed
know,
your
but
lead.
you know what? I was drinking last week. I'm sober
At
today.
7 in the morning, huh?
So he's C.J. Gardner-Johnson. I'm not calling him
Okay.
C.D. Deuce.
Well, technically, I believe legally he's still C.J. Gardner-Johnson. And I will also say that Kirby Joseph this week on Tim 21's podcast still called him Chauncey. So maybe we could go with that.
Yeah, he's got several different names. He told me to call him Deuce, so I'm going to call him Deuce.
Okay,
Yeah.
there you go.
And Deuce coming back is huge. James Houston coming back is huge. Ali McNeil possibly coming back next week. These are all really big additions at the end of the season. And the energy, it feels like they've gotten a shot of adrenaline down in Allen Park. Not that they're any overconfident or overzealous, but they know the difference that these guys can make, especially those three guys. They need some extra pass rush alongside Aiden. James Houston is just that, if he plays as well as he did at the end of last year. Deuce, C.J. Gardner-Johnson, Chauncey, that's as energy uplifting as any player maybe in the NFL. Like, that's just an extra boost on that defense. And then Ali McNeil, just to add him to that defensive line, one of the top run defenses in the league. Those are all really three additions coming back. The team's excited. The team's very excited.
You know, I found not exciting, but interesting this season when San Francisco lost its 3 games, it was because of injuries. When Philadelphia lost its games, injuries played a role. When the Lions, who had more injuries than any of these teams, lost, it's because they're fake. It was very interesting.
Very good point. The asterisks in the opening night game with Travis Kelce and Chris Jones out. We've had three starters missing, the majority of the season. Ali McNeil the last quarter, but I mean, we don't use that excuse here in Detroit. We just go out and play Detroit versus everybody.
The Lions are America's team. No excuses.
Yeah.
I do want to get into a quote that Dan Campbell had this week and get Terry's thoughts, because that's my favorite thing to do, is get Terry's thoughts on coaches' quotes. If he's playing really good football, and look, Kirby's doing a good job, but everybody just assumes, is it Iffy or CJ that plays? Why? Why would you assume that? When he comes back, we've got options. We've got really good options. We've got football players, playmakers, and so it's a really good problem to have. Is this just talk, or do you really think that there's more competition in that room besides Iffy and CJ?
You know what? I think Dan Campbell has got on his little Wizards cap, and he's got this big vat of stuff in there. This is great for him because now he gets to decide what to do with this extra talent. He can play them together. He can rotate them. He can move positions. I think this is great for Dan Campbell because now he gets to, he gets to formulate a little bit.
Yeah.
So yes, I'm gonna buy that one.
All right. I like that. Are you in on that too, Matt?
I'm
sorry. On that quote, do you believe that it's more than just CJ and Iffy?
Yes, I think that safety group, they're as deep now as any, when Deuce comes back, as deep as any group on this team when you consider all those guys playing well at the same time. Kirby Joseph is back. It seems like he's really back and engaged in this defense, and if he's playing well. So it is a good problem to have. I don't know what he's going to do, because who do you sit? As long as Kirby and Iffy are making plays, I mean, you can't not play CeeDee Deuce. So I don't know. We'll see. But the fact that they have all those guys, they're all playmakers. They're all ball hawks. They all get to go take away the ball. So they'll figure that out. This is a big moment for Aaron Glenn. I'm not saying anything's riding on it, but he's got a job to do to figure out how to use these guys effectively.
Now, can I be selfish?
Go for it.
I want to see Gardner Johnson and Iffy on the field at the same time.
Really?
Yes.
Okay.
Because they've both become playmakers. In the NFL, you've got a lot of good players, guys who can do their thing. What you look for are playmakers.
Yeah.
And playmakers are difference makers, and they've both been difference makers at some point. So I'm curious to see you get them on the field together. If you get two playmakers on the field at the same time, that magic can happen.
Yeah. Question is, what do you do? Like, what do you do with Brian Branch? He's in that same category to me.
Right.
So it's just one play cornerback. Do you move either a CeeDee Deuce or Brian Branch to play a more true cornerback, or do you just have a bunch of different packages with 4 safeties on the field, or however they'll see? With Cam Sutton being questionable, that really does change things if he isn't able to play, which I do believe he will. Then you're working in Khalil Dorsey, Kendall Vildor, Jerry Jacobs as your cornerbacks. How are they going to use those 3 with the 4 safeties that sort of need to be on the field? They're all playing very well. CeeDee Deuce is not back yet, but the other 3 are playing as good as anybody on the team.
We're going to get into a little bit more on that potential matchup with Sutton, what that could look like, potentially for Brian Branch if he's more stepping up into that role. Stick with us, and we're going to get into matchups in the next segment on Woodward and Main Street.
Brace yourselves, Detroit. As the sun begins to set, 2 of Woodward Sports' brightest young stars will be taking the mic for a brand new show. Woodward Nights with Spooner and Broder. The dog days in Detroit are over, and the boys are unleashed. Join in on the banter and hop on the bandwagon of the #1 night show on the internet. Tune into the Woodward Sports YouTube channel every weeknight from 8 to 10 p.m. Woodward Nights with Spooner and Broder. Now, coming to Woodward Sports, Woodward and Main Street, the Woodward Sports Network Detroit Lions show. Let's go! Catch Gabrielle Dee Phillips, Matt Broder, and Terry Foster for all the latest news on your Detroit Lions every week. Only on the Woodward Sports Network YouTube channel and woodwardsports.com.
Welcome back. This is Woodward and Main Street, your Lions Insider Show here on Woodward Sports Network. I'm Gabrielle Dee Phillips, alongside me, Matt Broder, Terry Foster, to kick off your Lions Game Day, the one and only way with your Lions Insider Show.
Thank you for being with us this morning. Saturday morning, primetime game tonight against the Cowboys. I'm excited.
Yeah, and the game is so late tonight. I wonder if people will forget our pearls of wisdom before kickoff.
I mean, we have 421 people with us right now, so I appreciate you all being here bright and early on a Saturday morning on a very eventful weekend. You know?
Go Blue. I said it.
I'm not getting into college football. We have Lions to talk about here, and we're going to stick to the Lions because that's all that matters in this town, okay? That's all that matters. So we're getting into matchups, not just me and Matt on the desk going back and forth about college football playoffs, but let's get into what's going to be going down in Texas today. So Micah Parsons versus
everybody.
Everyone on the Lions offensive line. Obviously, you have Penei Sewell, which could be a very, very fun matchup to watch this entire game. But with the way that they use Parsons all over the field, it really could be anyone's game, anyone's stop with him out there. So, I mean, he's 7th in sacks right now.
Got 13.
Who do you think is going to be the one to stop him the most? Where do you find that he's going to line up the most?
See, I think it has to be the unit, the entire offensive line unit. Because he plays so many different positions, this is where their communication is so important. And that's more difficult on the road. That's why it's so important then this experienced unit is comfortable with each other and knows knows all their communication or is comfortable communicating, whether it's pre-snap or during the rush, because he is quick. Like that's part. He's powerful and he's athletic, but he is quick. That's part of his value. What do you think, Terry?
Well, defensive coordinator Terry, here's what I would do. First play of the game, I line up right against Penei Sewell.
Okay.
Then as they're calling the plays, I would ease him over, walk him a little bit towards center, and have him go somewhere else. So you don't know where he's going to be coming from. So, yeah, I would pretend like I'm going to challenge him with Sewell, but I don't want to do that. I he's a great player, but I don't want him to go up against the Lions' best pass protector, which I think Penei Sewell is, because he doesn't give up sacks. So, I'm going to try to fool you. You're going to think I'm going up against Penei Sewell, but I'm not going up against that dude.
Yeah. I believe he had 2 sacks against the Lions last year, and I believe it was against – at least one of them was against Taylor Decker. So he is experienced against the Lions moving back and forth. But it's such an important matchup because not just because of stopping Micah Parsons in the pass rush, but because of what Jared Goff wants to do. Actually, let me start over. With a playmaker like Deron Bland in the secondary for the Cowboys, what Jared Goff needs to do is control the ball and not be overwhelmed by the pressure of a guy like Micah Parsons to then throw a pick six, throw an interception to Deron Bland. They want to run the ball to neutralize that pass rush with Micah Parsons. So there's so many little key factors in this one matchup, but limiting their best defensive player, a defensive player of the year candidate, is going to be priority number 1.
Perfect.
You know what you got to watch out even more with Micah Parsons? Just poking that ball out of mitten hands. He could do that.
He tries to punch it out every time he gets near the ball.
He'll create a fumble before he forces an interception.
Yeah.
So he's a bad man.
Yeah, Jared Goff did exceptionally last year last game against the Vikings against the blitz. He was 22 of 26. He needs another game like that. They're going to be bringing it. He needs to make quick decisions, get the ball out to his running backs, to Sam Laporta. The linebackers for the Cowboys are their weakest unit, not counting Micah Parsons as an outside linebacker, but their middle linebackers are their weakest unit. So Jared Goff has to get it out quick again.
Another thing, does Micah Parsons try to offset Sam Laporta?
He might be in coverage against Laporta a couple plays. I don't think it's going to be consistent, but they might.
But he's a guy. Laporta is a very important part of this offense, as we all know, since Gabby puts him as the player of the game every week. But maybe Dallas is thinking more. Laporta has been a very dangerous guy in the passing game. If we can shut him down, then we can limit the Lions.
Yeah. And he might be, last thing, he might be lined up across the line from Micah Parsons a lot, because the Lions are going to use him to chip block him or to double, to work with Taylor Decker or Penei Sewell on a double team. So he's important in the blocking game too, the offensive line, as an extension of the offensive line. And he's done a great job. This is going to be the toughest matchup of the season.
He had a quiet game last week, so I think he's kind of primed and ready, kind of like an Amon-Ra St. Brown bounce back like we saw a couple weeks ago for a turnaround here.
He had a quiet game through the air in pass production, but Steve Hyden, their tight ends coach, he spoke at the press conference yesterday, and he actually reiterated he thought it was one of Sam Laporta's best games, despite the lack of pass protection or pass production because of his pass protection, because of his run blocking. He did a really, really good job, and that was important for them to establish that against the top 5 run defense.
Well, speaking of run defense, I want to get into the Lions' run game and Dallas's run defense, because I think this is the most key matchup going into today's game, and really where the Lions' strength is going to be, and the potential for them to beat Dallas at home. So let's just take a little trip down.
Take us down there, Gabby.
Memory lane here. The Lions' run offense is 5th in yards per carry, 4th EPA, 7th in success rate, 1st in adjusted line yards, 2nd in yards after contact per rush. They have rushed over 110 yards in 8 straight games, and they haven't been held to below 4 yards per carry in a game since week 6. Jared Goff talking about David Montgomery and Jahmyr Gibbs said that they're both starting backs in this league for really any team. And the fact that the Lions have them together is this magic that nobody else has been able to make happen this season. It's really, really special what the Lions have going on there. And the Cowboys' run defense is unpredictable at best. They have not found strength over the season with their run defense, and I think the Lions' run game is going to put that on display today.
Yeah. They got ran all over a couple weeks ago against Buffalo. James Cook had his breakout game. They actually did an underrated job against Miami and Raheem Mostert and Devin Achane against Miami in their loss. But you're right, that the run defense, like I mentioned a few minutes ago, it's so important. It's so important for the Lions to get off to or to establish the run and stick to it consistently throughout the game to both neutralize the pass rush of Micah Parsons, but also because it's the Lions' strength. Like we talk about Jahmyr Gibbs and David Montgomery, that's the best running back duo in the league.
No doubt.
And they're the best running team despite if you're not considering Lamar Jackson and Justin Fields, the Bears and the Ravens are the top two rushing teams in the league. So just in terms of running back production, the Lions are number one, and they need to use both of those, not just between the tackles, but seeing both those guys in the flats. Let Jared Goff find him on some short, quick passes. It's going to be a massive game for both those two.
Here's the dangerous thing about this game. It can turn into a track meet. If Dak Prescott and CeeDee Lamb and all these guys start rolling, and they're at home and they're emotionally high after the pregame ceremony and all this stuff, and they just don't stop rolling, the only way to stop that is with the running game. You know, typically you want to slow the game down. You want to make sure that the offense for Dallas Cowboys is sitting on the bench for 15, 20 minutes, twiddling their thumbs. So in this game, I always say the running game for the Lions is very important, but it's really important in this game because you don't want a high-scoring game.
Yeah.
You want it to be, you know, if you could, in the teens, but that's not possible. But
Cowboys average just under 40 points a game at home. This is where they're the most comfortable, where Dak's the most comfortable. So you're right. Keep them off the field.
Pound the rock, control the clock, right, Terry?
Yeah, Rod Marinelli. Pound the rock.
Everyone should check out, you were on Big D Energy yesterday. You were telling the story about his press conference. Was it Morningweg or Marinelli or Morningweg? Anyways,
Well, it depends on what the story was.
it was out on the porch. They had the press conference at his house.
Oh, that was Mort Hengweg.
Oh, okay. Not
When he got fired, the media talked to Marty Morningweg on his front porch.
Got you. There's a great story on Big D Energy yesterday, Friday, the 29th.
Next matchup, CeeDee Lamb versus hopefully Cam Sutton, potentially Brian Branch. Really, who do we know is going to be covering him at this point? TBD on that. No new news, right? Correct, Matt?
Not on Cam.
Not on Cam yet. So, but I have to bring up this whole situation that happened with CeeDee Lamb last game because he had a fantastic performance in the first quarter. And then all of a sudden, he did not get a single touch in the second or third quarter of that game, just out of nowhere. And he has been very publicly saying how weird it was that happened. Literally weird. He was like, that was just really weird. A weird start, how I started really hot in the game and then it went absent. That's why it's weird. That direct quote, weird. And it is. And people are now calling it the silence of the Lamb because it's kind of nuts, the fact that he is somebody who is such a difference maker for this team, and then to completely shut him up for essentially the rest of the game. What do you think went on there?
I think Dak forgets about CeeDee Lamb. I think this is a trend in the National Football League. High-profile receivers are forgotten about, and I don't understand why. I mean, when you look here in Detroit, Amon-Ra St. Brown, they go to him every quarter of every game. CeeDee Lamb, he'll go a couple quarters without being targeted. The top receivers, and they bitch about it, which they should. I don't know why they always blame. Oh well, they're being double covered, and these guys say, "Well, I'm still open. I can still, it doesn't matter with me." For instance, let's go back to line. Calvin Johnson. Calvin Johnson was always double team, triple team, quadruple team. But guess what? He was always open. Because he was 6'5", so you could get the ball to him no matter what. CeeDee Lamb is one of those guys that you can get the ball to him whenever you want. But I think offensive coordinators feel they have to diversify. We have to go here. We have to go there. We have to do different things. Now, I've known some stubborn coaches It's like, okay, I tell you what, we'll go somewhere else if you prove you can stop this. If you can't, we'll go to CeeDee Lamb 9 times in a row, or 2 or 3 times in a row. So I think it's maybe the coordinators, and maybe Dak doesn't see what's out there. But until you can stop a man like this, you keep going to him. And I'm not one of these people who say, oh, well, let's go somewhere else. Let's diversify. Let's try to trick him. No. I'm doing this well, going to CeeDee Lamb. You prove to me you can stop it. Mm-hmm. Now, if he has a good first quarter against the Lions, and the fact that he complained, I think they're going to keep going to him.
Definitely. I don't think the Lions have any shutdown player in the secondary that can maybe make them feel that way. Last week against Miami, Jalen Ramsey did have a little bit to do with CeeDee Lamb being shut down in the second and third quarter. Mm-hmm. The Lions don't have a player like that, so that's why Aaron Glenn's got to construct this defense and this defensive game plan. But he is one of those guys. I would force feed it to him if I were Mike McCarthy, the offensive play caller for the Cowboys. He plays all over the place. Like I always think of CeeDee Lamb as just kind of your traditional number one on the outside, but they use him in the slot a lot more than I expected. When I was really breaking it down this week, they move him all even out of the backfield a little bit. They'll give him some touches like they do Amon-Ra St. Brown. So he plays all over the place. That's why I think Brian Branch can be included in this conversation with Cam Sutton as someone who might follow him out of the backfield. But he's all over the place, and he's been great. He's turned himself, or confirmed that he's the number one wide receiver in this league.
Since we're talking a lot about coaches, I want to throw this one matchup in here. It's the Dan Campbell-Mike McCarthy matchup, because Dan Campbell's going back to his home state here. He's going back to coach against a team that he played for from 2003 to 2005. He's a Texas guy through and through, and he's kind of rebranded this into this Detroit guy, but it is his home. It's where he's from. And on the opposite side of Mike McCarthy, who's now being criticized for being too conservative, you have Dan Campbell, who at his truest core is criticized for how out of the box he can be. Do you think that Dan Campbell's going to really let his crazy flag fly during this game, and will that then cause Mike McCarthy to maybe step outside of his box a little bit? Or are they both going to stay to their true colors?
No, you know what? They'll stay to their true colors. Mike McCarthy here, I'm going to be the one to say it's kind of he's a dunce. All right.
Oh.
They can do better in Dallas as far as coaches are concerned. So I think Dan Campbell, didn't we say he was going to go all crazy against Denver? Didn't happen. They just kicked Denver's ass. I just think Dan Campbell's who he is. He doesn't care who he's going up against. I'm going to remain Dan Campbell. And he doesn't have to prove himself to a dunce.
Yeah.
Mike McCarthy. So I expect Dan Campbell to outcoach Mike McCarthy. Now, can the Lions outplay the Dallas Cowboys? That's the big question right there.
Yeah.
So, I mean, if I'm Dan Campbell, who the hell is Mike McCarthy? I know he's won before and everything, but right now, he's a dunce. They should put a little dunce cap on him on the sideline.
Okay.
Yeah.
Woodward Sports Social Team, get to that, please, because we need to see that.
Yes. Dan Campbell he doesn't seem like a guy that's intimidated by anybody, and especially not Mike McCarthy going into Dallas. This is something he lives for. He's from Dallas. He played at Texas A&M and played for the Cowboys.
Yeah.
So this is one. He's like you said. He's matured so much. We've seen him out-coach some of the more veteran coaches, out-coach Sean Payton. So I'm not worried about Dan Campbell at all. I'm just more worried about the special teams, the kicking situation. Michael Badgley needs to still prove that we can rely on him. So we'll see. I think this special teams is going to be a big part of this game. Whether it's Michael Badgley kicking a field goal or Jack Fox, the punter for the Lions, helping control that field position. I think it's going to be an underrated, huge part of this game.
And we're going to see how that reflects in our score predictions, our pessimistic and our optimistic, which is coming up next. So stick with us on Woodward and Main Street, your Lions Insider Show on Woodward Sports Network.
Woodward Sports' own Tom Mazaway and Sam Stick Day will be hosting our Lions postgame show after every Lions game all season long. Tune into the Woodward Sports YouTube channel for his hot-off-the-press takes, game analysis, and Kool-Aid sipping celebrations. You won't want to miss it. Join Maz, Coach Dick and special guests each week immediately following every Lions game, exclusively on the WSN YouTube channel. Join Woodward Sports' own Jeff Iafrate along with special WSN guests for the most anticipated Lions season in decades. Filled with different surprises and expert analysis. You're not going to want to miss out. Go to our Woodward Sports YouTube channel on Sundays and tune in live from 9:30 to 11:30 a.m.
Lady Jane's Haircuts for Men for an award-winning haircut experience from one of our talented stylists, and register for a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to win an all-expenses-paid suite for the 2024 NCAA tournament for you and 5 of your best buds. That's right, college basketball's most elite event. You and your 5 best friends just get to any Lady Jane's today for an award-winning haircut experience and automatically register to win the trip of your dreams. Lady Jane's Haircuts for Men, open 7 days a week. Walk in anytime. Lady Jane's, it's wicked awesome.
Welcome back. This is Woodward and Main Street, your Lions Insider Show here on Woodward Sports Network. I'm Gabrielle Dee Phillips, as always, alongside me, Matt Broder and Terry Foster to kick off your Lions game day, a special Lions game day because the Lions are playing. I mean, let me rephrase this. I don't even think it's that special anymore because the Lions have been playing in primetime a hell of a lot this season.
Yeah.
8:15 on a Saturday night. America's team will be playing the Dallas Cowboys.
Do you know what show you heard that the Lions might have up to 5 primetime games this season?
I wonder. Could you inform us, Terry?
It was, what's the name of the show? Woodward and Maine.
Let's go.
First time you ever heard it.
You broke that. That was one of your first breaking stories on this show.
It was.
When they were planning. Speaking of breaking stories, I'm breaking the mic.
That's
But
okay.
that's why we call it the Lions Insider Show, because you have all the inside information, Terry.
Yes. And hopefully I can get some more.
Oh, yeah.
Heck yeah. But for now, we are going to get into a segment that we cover every single week, the pessimistic, optimistic, and game score prediction. So let's start off with the negative, the pessimistic. Terry, what is your pessimistic for the Lions heading down
did
to
you
Texas?
see those big waves crashing into California yesterday? That's a tsunami. And what the Lions must avoid is the tsunami. Dallas is going to be all fired up. They're ticked off after losing 2 games in a row. Jimmy Johnson is going to be in the Hall of Fame or the Ring of Honor, whatever. So there's going to be a lot of emotion in that building. And does that emotion carry over to the players? So if Dallas gets the ball, scores on their first drive, and scores on their second drive, you could have that tsunami happening in Dallas. The thing I'm worried about is the ass kicking. And the ass kicking is going to start early if it's going to be that. So you have to survive the emotions and then turn it into a football game. Because emotions can only last so long, but if you're down 14-0, then when the emotions wear off, then you're down 2 touchdowns, you may not be able to recover.
Yeah.
So I'm worried about the tsunami, the big waves coming in and buckling the Lions. So.
Yeah.
I think that's a great one. I'm going to turn it over to the Lions pass defense and the performance that the Cowboys have given in their pass game this season. It makes me a little nervous. I think, as well as you pair that with just Dak Prescott and the season that he's having and what I think he's kind of, with that emotion, is trying to make happen here. And, he is a little bit mobile. And the Lions have not exactly performed at their best against mobile quarterbacks, but hopefully they'll be able to prove me wrong today. Matt?
Yeah, no, that's a great one. Especially, last week we gave up a lot of yards through the air, and but they were able to pick off Nick Mullins 4 times. Can they manufacture some takeaways against Dak Prescott, who takes care of the ball a lot better than Mullins, although he is susceptible to a turnover here and there. I'm going to go with the fact that the Cowboys, and especially that Cowboys secondary, and especially Deron Bland, takeaways are their thing. Like, they go and try to get the ball, whether it's punching the ball out or Deron Bland picking it off and taking it to the house. He's got 8 interceptions, 6 pick sixes on the season. He's playing great. He stepped in for Trevon Diggs and is playing great. So when the Lions have struggled this year, Jared Goff has turned the ball over. Really, the team has turned the ball over. Jared Goff can't make one of those mistakes, a pick 6 like he did in the Seattle game, in the Raiders game. They're not going to be able to do that against the Cowboys and come back. he's got to take care of the ball.
I've got to get to the poll that's going on in the Woodward Sports chat on our YouTube.
Ooh.
The question is, what is the key factor for the Lions against Dallas? And right now, it's 42% of running the ball, 35% win the turnover battle.
Yes. Yeah, both of those.
Right there.
Yeah, they do need to win it. And that limiting on offense and trying to go get a pick or two from Dak Prescott. If you win the turnover battle, if you get an extra possession or two, I trust this Lions offense to score.
Yeah, I think when you look at the Lions season specifically, you have to say win the turnover battle. And instead of 35%, that should be 85%. Because the Lions in their losses have been a -6 in the turnover battle. In their wins, they've been a +7 or 8.
Wow.
So it's so, when Jared Goff is not throwing interceptions, they win. When he's not getting stripped, they win. No matter how ugly it looks, no matter how much danger they get into, the bottom line, don't turn it over, they win all the time.
Facts.
Turn it over 3 times or 4 times, put an L on it.
Yeah, lose.
All right, up next, let's turn this thing around. Optimistic. Give me what is your optimistic for the Lions to win against Dallas today?
It's the run game. If the Lions run that football with now Gibbs, a guy we all trust now. We didn't trust him early in the season. We get Montgomery and Gibbs. They could be fine. I mean, they could win this game. They could shorten the game, which they want to do. If a guy like CeeDee Lamb is frustrated on the sidelines, if Dak Prescott is frustrated on the sidelines because they can't get on the field, then you've won the battle. But a lot of that has to happen because the Lions are controlling clock, running the ball, and not turning the ball over.
Yes, that's a key.
Matt, what are you going with for your optimistic?
I'm optimistic because this Detroit Lions offense has involved Jameson Williams a lot more in these last 2 weeks. In the last several weeks, definitely the last 2 weeks, have really gone and targeted him, whether he's caught every ball or not. That, in a game like this, where Deron Bland, who's an outside cornerback, are we going to see him on JMO, or is he going to be inside on St. Brown or Laporta? I think we do see him on JMO some. That takes a big piece out of their defense, keeping him on the outside, keeping him unpredictable. And for a guy who likes to take chances and try to go get the ball, try for a pick six, JMO, especially we've seen back when he played for Alabama, his stop and go ability, his quick cut ability, if you can get him on a little stop and go route, get him to cheat, it could be one of those games where there's a big play for Jameson Williams. But the fact that they've gotten him involved in these last 2 weeks just spreads out that entire defense, makes it a lot harder for them to really cram in on the middle of the field where Jared Goff, St. Brown, Laporta, they like to work.
So we've covered the running back duo. We've covered Jameson Williams. I'm going to go ahead and cover Amon-Ra St. Brown because he is on a 100-yard game streak now, 2 games in a row, and I have no doubt that he's going to continue that against Dallas. I think he's just unstoppable right now more than ever, and he can taste the playoffs. I mean, they've clinched it. It's going to happen, but I think he can taste it, and I think this team can taste it, and I think he has so much to prove, and this is just, I feel like we always say this, but this is just the start for him and him showing off. So I think that's...
Yeah, I know it's a team game, and you want the team. However, this is an opportunity for St. Brown to prove that he belongs on the field with a CeeDee Lamb. He belongs on the field with anybody Dallas can produce because it's a national televised game late in the season. A lot of people are going to be watching. Even when you talk about the top receivers in the NFL, you don't hear his name as much as you think you would.
Nope.
So I think this is an opportunity for the star receiver on America's team to become America's wide receiver. Why not?
Such a good thought.
Terry has been all for the Detroit Lions, but it is time to get into our score predictions here and
Are you foreshadowing something?
have his true colors come out, if I will say, drum roll, please. There are our score predictions, and I'm starting at the bottom here because you know what, Terry? You talked a lot of positivity about the Lions and Lions being America's team and the Cowboys, but your game score prediction doesn't match the talk.
Well, if we notice, America's team didn't win a lot the last few years. But I just think that this is too critical a game for the Dallas Cowboys. Yeah, it is for the Lions too, but Dallas at home is just unbeatable. And there's certain situations that you come in that you can't overcome. The Lions have been vulnerable on the road. The Lions have been vulnerable maybe to teams within their division, and they've done well. But Dallas is playing well at home. Dallas is an entirely different animal.
Yeah.
In there, and I just think there's going to be too much. A little too much Dallas Cowboys.
A lot of Dallas Cowboys, but it's not going to be too much for the Lions, and that's why I went with 34-30 for my score prediction, because while I do believe the Lions will win, I don't think it's going to be a low-scoring game because of what Dallas is able to do at home. They will score 30 points today, but the Detroit Lions will come out on top with 34 points. So Lions W, and they're going to end that winning streak, and it's going to be a sad day down in Dallas, Texas.
Yes. I think it's going to be a struggle for the defenses all game, both defenses. And if not for the Lions' need to pound the rock to consistently run the ball, I think this could have been a game in the 40s for both teams. But I think they're going to try to control the clock and not let that Dallas offense back on the field. But I think the Lions in one-score games, they're not intimidated by anybody. They're going into Dallas. They're going into Jerry's world motivated, just as motivated as those 10-5 Cowboys to go get that number 2 seed. Keep the dreams alive for the number 1 seed. I think Lions 37-34. That's what it's going to be.
All right.
That's what it's going to be.
There it is.
Now, you two are saying something without saying it, too.
What am I saying?
You're saying that the Lions are legit Super Bowl contenders.
That's exactly what I'm saying.
Will they make the Super Bowl?
That...
Oh, the cat's got his tongue.
It depends.
Come on, talk. This man talks so much, and then you ask him a critical question. He's like,
No, that's a totally different question than what we're talking. There's context.
You're saying they're going to win the game.
Yes.
I'm saying if they win this damn game,
my God.
they're Super Bowl contenders. I mean, legit. They can beat San Francisco. They can beat Philadelphia. They can beat Dallas. They could beat the team you're scared of, the LA Rams.
I'm not scared of the Rams.
If they win, hey, I'm gonna say, you know what? This is Super Bowl more than the contender. They are like a threat. Yes, I'm gonna say a Super Bowl threat rather than contender.
This makes me even more excited for Tuesday's show because
all right,
there's
now
a
the
lot of
cat
line here.
no longer has your tongue. Are the Lions going to the Super Bowl?
Yeah, they are.
Oh,
If their offensive line's healthy, they're going to the Super Bowl. Screw it. Let's go.
all right. I like
He
when
went from like
when
here
you
with
can
the
talk.
confidence to up. He really backed
He did.
into that. He said, "Okay, I'm sticking with it."
He became a brave man.
You know, I was thinking, they got to get the 2 seed. The 1 seed, they're definitely going. Screw it. If their offensive line's healthy, they're going to Vegas. Let's go.
Okay.
You're my guy now.
Let's go,
All right.
T-Ball.
I don't
Thumbs
like when
up
you're like.
There's my take.
All right.
All right.
There's your take, but because we have to do this.
No,
every
no,
show.
you're not off the hook.
What?
Are the Lions going to
I
the
had
Super
said
Bowl?
yes, in the time that he was going.
I didn't hear that because I was transfixed on this.
I know. I will say that the you asked if they're
Mumble.
contenders. I said yes, the Lions are contenders if
No,
they
no.
beat the
Threats.
Dallas Cowboys.
Threats.
No, you changed it to threats. The original question
Threats.
was
That was.
contenders.
Now I'm
saying
changing it. Are they
if-
threats?
You can't change it because I gave my answer already.
You cheat.
Sure.
I can cheat.
Okay, threats. There you go, Terry. 2-on-1. I'm gonna back up Matt here.
Okay.
Let's go.
But Matt, before we go, will the Lions play a complete game of football?
Yes, they will.
Okay.
They will.
That's it. That's all I had to ask.
37. That includes a field goal. I think.
All right.
Yeah, it does.
Well,
Yeah,
there
it
you
does.
have it. It's a feisty show today, and I mean, I think we're gonna have
It's the last
ourselves
show of 2023.
Oh my God! It really is.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Oh, it is. Bam.
Boom.
I forgot about that.
And Matt forgot how to
Wow.
talk.
I'll talk better in 2024.
Maybe that could be your
Okay.
New Year's resolution
Yeah.
for 2024.
No, I'm
Talk
gonna
more?
get you again in 2024.
We'll see.
No, I
We'll
have,
see.
I have no doubt Terry will throw curveballs here and there. But
Tuesday.
2024.
Yes.
Tune in Tuesday morning, 7 a.m., where we are going to hopefully recap a Lions win, because it is so much better to talk about a Lions win than a Lions loss. I'm Gabrielle Dee Phillips, Matt Broder, Terry Foster, and happy Lions game day.
Happy New Year.
Matt.
Now, coming to Woodward Sports, Woodward and Main Street, the Woodward Sports Network Detroit Lions show. Let's go! Catch Gabrielle Dee Phillips, Matt Broder, and Terry Foster for all the latest news on your Detroit Lions every week. Only on the Woodward Sports Network YouTube channel and woodwardsports.com.